Hey, what's going on? My name is Luca. I do videos about language learning, and today I wanted to make a video talking about a subject that has lingered in my mind for a little bit now, and it's about learning a new language as an introvert. And legend has it that this is the second time that I record this video because I didn't press record the first time. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about being an introvert and learning a new language. It's a subject that I find particularly interesting because I am an introvert myself. Now, it doesn't seem like it because I'm talking to a camera right now and I try to appear confident and comfortable, but I'm an introvert. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't like social interaction and that I won't seek out new connections, but it just means that after speaking with someone for a while or after spending time with friends, I need time to recollect. I will define introverts in this video as people that are like me, that don't get energy out of social interactions, people that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable in public, that are a bit socially awkward. The end goal of language learning is to speak. So to get there, you don't do it by reading, you don't do it by going on language apps, even though marketers think that, wants you to think that you can learn language from the comfort of your own couch by doing whatever for 5 minutes a day. But no, your end goal is to speak, so you need to go and speak and try to speak with people at some point. Being an introvert is going to make it harder because, especially for the first exposure to the people in the language, when you don't know the language very well, when you don't know the culture very well, going out there, finding the people that speak that language is going to be a bigger challenge for you if you're an introvert. And that first experience really is going to make or break your level in that language, because it's going to have a big impact on the rest. Because if you have a good experience, meet some nice friends, and those friends are going to make you meet some of their friends, so you're going to meet your people, and snowball effect, you will just assimilate the culture and the language much more easily. If you first interaction with the language and the culture in an event goes wrong, then you will going to have a hard time coming back to it and then getting there. Well, you will get there eventually if you have the will for it, but it's going to make it harder. So having good social skills is going to make or break your language in your level in the language. I just want to place some context. When I'm talking about social interactions, I'm assuming that you're learning a language that you don't know anyone, and you don't know anyone that speaks that language, so you have to go meet some people. You can do so in some bars that organize some events. I know this happens in several cities. I've done this in Marseille. Now I'm doing this in Montreal. There's a community called Mondolingo that you can go in those events. Mondolingo organizes all over the world and go meet people. Everyone has their little stickers with their languages, and that's a method I'm currently doing, just to meet new people and speak languages. So just to put the context here, it can also be in public spaces. You hear the language spoken and you just go there and have small talk, like introduce yourself, or it can be at a party when you know someone speaks that language. I will assume that when you are an introvert, you are more of an observant person. At least I was. Now I try to put myself more out there. I more focused on what I say than what I see and what I hear than I used to be. But when you're an introvert, you don't want to make too much wave. You don't want to appear too imposing, and you just observe more, which is a good thing, because when you observe, you just pick up social clues more easily because you're in a more passive way. It's like if you were seeing the scene from above or from outside, so you see social clues more easily. It's very important when you're meeting a new culture, when you're being exposed to a new culture you don't know, so you're going to pick up those social and cultural aspects more easily, and you'll be less likely to make a cultural mistake than someone that will be more extroverted and that will be talking more. You just have lesser chance of making those cultural mistakes and appearing rude. So that's a good thing. So because you listen more, you tend to understand how the language should sound, and you pick up when it sounds wrong more easily. So you train your ear in a more efficient way because you're more used to listening, and in the end it improves your accent in a passive way. So it won't make your accent perfect, but you will have a much better idea of how it should sound, and it will improve your accent. You will also connect with people from that language that speak that language that are more introverted. So that's a plus, because in my experience, introvert persons are more likely to hit it off than an introvert and extrovert. Although anything can happen. And my last point from this is that any small mistake you would make will make you very, very uncomfortable if you're an introvert. Meaning, if you misuse a gender, or if you say something that you didn't mean, sometimes it happens, especially with French, for example. You can say la chatte au lieu de le chat, and then everyone will laugh, not at you, but at the situation, and it will make you more uncomfortable. It will make this mistake more memorable. So the odds of you committing that mistake again are very low. So you're just learning more efficiently here. It's a good thing. Now, moving on to the bad aspects of being an introvert in language learning. It's all going to revolve around the fact that you won't seek out social interaction as much as if you're extroverted, and not as much as you would need. So, for example, you're too afraid to make mistakes because you're, in general, I assume that introverted people are very self-aware. They are self-aware of their accent, how they look and how they sound, and their grammar as well. So they won't want to make mistakes, and it will kind of keep them back from saying what they want to say, and make the mistakes that are necessary for learning. Like we said, making mistakes make an aspect of language learning more memorable, because making mistake is painful, but it doesn't make it bad. It's just a part of language learning. You have to go through this. Every language learner will have their embarrassing moments. Second, that will be that you spend too much time on theory when you should really go and practice out there early on. I mean, it's very important to understand the language you're trying to speak, and that comes down to doing some research on the internet, or with books, with grammar, or with tutors. But once you know how it works, and then you can say a few sentences and you understand a little bit what people tell you in that language, or you can read or whatever, you need to go out there and put it into practice. And because introverted find less satisfaction and more discomfort in social settings and social interactions, it will be less attractive. So they will tend to stay indoors a bit more. I was guilty of this myself, and just practice on their own with text or with watching TV, but then it doesn't do the same thing. It's good, it's one part of language learning. You need to improve your passive vocabulary and everything, but when you go out there and speak to people, it's just much more efficient, and you get closer to your goals faster. And the third one, my third bullet point, would be that you don't have many opportunities, because when you hear someone talk in the street or in your language, and that you would have an opportunity to approach, you won't take the chance because you would be too afraid of rejection. You'll be too scared. Well, I'm guilty of this myself. And even when you are in social settings that call for meeting people, then you would still be awkward, and you won't necessarily take the necessary action to go and start a conversation. So those 3 points really boil around the fact that you don't get enough practice when you're introvert and you're learning a new language. And this is not set in stone. Like I said, I used to I describe my past self in those bullet points here, but it can change. So, first of all, control your body language. It sounds hard. It is hard. And you will do this little by little. But by controlling your body language, you will actually have much more control on your emotions. So when you shake, when you shake your leg, or when you do something that is a bit that shows that you're nervous, staring down, having arm crossed and being humped over like this, I'm caricaturing here, but really doesn't help to make you seem approachable. It's a sad, cold truth. And by controlling your body language, by staying upright, by also your voice is also very important, by speaking louder, by controlling your movements, by controlling where are your limbs, not crossing anything. And there was an advice that I learned not too long ago that really helped me, is that you need to keep your vulnerable parts of your body open to the world. So I'm talking about your groin area, all this, you can't see it, it's below the frame, but your face, your neck, your chest in general, your belly, all of this needs to be free, meaning like not covered by your hands. And once you do this, you will just feel more charismatic, and you will just be more approachable, and you will seem more friendly. Second one is a very tough one that I worked on a lot during the past years. It's to smile more. Now, like, I'm trying to showcase it. When you smile, you just give a better energy. It's hard to smile when I don't want to. You give a better energy, and you just fill the room with happiness. And it's very hard because it takes a lot of confidence to smile, and it makes you vulnerable. When you smile, you are vulnerable, but it's actually helping you and the persons that are around you. Because by smiling, you will be releasing in your body some feel-good hormones. I forgot the names, but it's been proven scientifically that when you smile, you actually produce those good hormones, and you will feel calmer, you will also feel more comfortable, and then you will also maybe spark a smile in someone else, on someone else's face. So it's a win-win. You'll just appear more friendly, and people will more likely come to you. And now when it comes to conversation, I'd say that you need to, in your target language, practice asking questions. It's very important. Why? Because when you start a conversation, you can share about yourself, but it takes a lot of words. Whereas if you ask a question, an open-ended question, that is, to someone, they will be talking about themselves and revealing about themselves, and it won't take too much effort from your end. But it will make you appear very, very friendly, and you will just show that you're curious you have curiosity in the other person, and it will just make the conversation flow better. And then when the person is talking and revealing more about themselves, you just have a ton of comprehensible input, which is great. Well, if it's not comprehensible, you should stop the person, ask them to speak slowly, or ask them to explain to you. But with this comprehensible input, you just get a lot of input, like I said, and you can also choose in what they say what you want to ask, further detail of, the thing you want to ask further detail of. So for example, that person can tell you that they have a dog, tell you about their job, then you just have like a few topics that you can choose from, and then you can practice. You can just like guide the conversation to practice when you want to practice. So it will really help your language learning. However, yes, you should ask questions, but you should also reveal a little bit about yourself, which is going to be harder. It's going to be the part where you're going to stutter, you're going to make some mistakes, and that's the part where maybe you won't be understood, and you will feel maybe embarrassed and everything. And this is actually the part where you're going to learn the most. So my advice here, I'm just going to boil it down to two principles. If you start a conversation, really ask, even if the person starts a conversation, ask a lot about who you're talking with. And then you have to, at some point, share about yourself. Otherwise, you'll just seem closed off and a bit rude. And when you're doing so, this is when you are going to learn the most, and you are going to set in your memory, set in stone, what you have learned in your lessons in online or whatever however you learn. Okay. And then my last point, maybe not my second to last point, is to be comfortable with silence. Now, I know that in many societies, silence is considered to be rude and awkward and just a bad thing, but please decriminalize silence. Silence is just when two people are speaking or a group is speaking and everyone is thinking about what they just said and recollecting their thoughts, just thinking about what the other person said, and maybe they're coming up with a new subject that will be more interesting. It's not that everyone doesn't care or the two people don't care. It's just that they need a break. And this break will never be too long because one of the person around the table or in the group will come up with a new thing to say, a new subject of conversation. So it's better to spare 5 seconds of that conversation and give it to silence and then coming up with a new subject that is interesting than it is to exploit or overexploit a random subject no one cares about just because you don't want to be any silence. This is awkward. The other scenario where you both recollect your thought and just think about what the other person said is normal, and it will bring up new subject of conversation. And if it doesn't, you can just move on to someone else or move on with your day. Just that easy. Well, it's not that easy, I know. It's still hard for me, but I learned that silence is a good thing. And my last point is just don't be too hard on yourself. Don't judge yourself too hard. I know that introverted people, at least me, have a hard time when it comes to their self-image, and they tend to judge the way they look, the way they sound, their grammar in a very hard manner. And this doesn't help. It's negative self-talk, like as I call it, is really feeding your awkwardness. So my advice for you is to not place your focus onto you. You are you, and just being always being reflexive and always thinking about your own, how people perceive you and your own image doesn't help. You're how you are, and most of the people don't care. They care much less than you. So by placing your focus and your attention on other people that you're speaking with or people that you haven't met yet, by just being curious about what's surrounding you, well, first of all, you won't think about, oh, my hair is messy, or I look like this, or I sound like this, or for example, I have braces, and I don't like to think about that because, well, it's not very attractive. But when I'm in a social event, I just think about and I place my focus on the person I'm talking to or the person that I'm about to approach and go talk to. And it makes it much more easy for me to stay confident and to stay in the mood. It just negative self-talk takes you out and makes you appear less friendly, I say. So that wraps it up for today. Thank you very much for watching. I would just add like a little conclusion here and say that language learning needs social skills, but language learning makes social skills as well. By learning a new language, you will understand another culture, another way of seeing things. You will meet a lot of new people that will make you meet new people, and it's just a vicious circle. So don't get discouraged if you're an introvert. It's not set in stone. You're not an introvert forever, or you're not awkward forever. Apply the advice in the video. Maybe apply a few of them. You don't have to apply every of them, and see where it takes you and take it from there. Thank you very much for watching. À bientôt.